Hey, welcome back to our bi-monthly COGS Musings calls. That's chiropractic older gentlemen I'll use today. Um, as usual, it's three of us. I got Dr. Brad Robinson here from Norfolk, Dr. Terrence McCullough from Laurel, Maryland, and I'm Dr. Mike Martin, and I'm also from Maryland. Currently on the Eastern Shore, enjoying rewirement. I think we all are enjoying rewirement. Yeah,
Yes.
rewirement. Yes.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
Absolutely.
we do this because we want to give back to the community of our chiropractors. And I have a buddy that always said, we don't want anything from you. We want everything for you. I think he still believes that. I know I certainly do. So this was what this is about. We don't want anything from you chiropractors. We want to give you our knowledge. Use it as you will. It's based upon hundreds of years of practice, both ourselves and our families and raising kids and grandkids and all that goes with that. So we've managed to stay very principled, very focused, and I can say that the three of us uh, live or have lived an entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. I actually had to look it up and read about it to see if I actually fit in that category. Um, well, I was told I did, but I didn't know if I did or didn't. So it seems that I do. How about you guys? What does that mean to you guys, Brad?
Well, I think one of the biggest fallacies in chiropractic is that you get a degree, you put out a shingle, and all of a sudden you have people flooding to your office. And unfortunately, in the healthcare system, we still ride on the back of the healthcare bus.
Hmm.
And we have to get our message out to people about the benefits of chiropractic care because there's no one else doing that. There's no advertisements that say go to your chiropractor on a regular basis. There are no TV shows that show chiropractors in a positive light. So we you start from that basis of people don't know what we know. So we have to get out there and tell them. And that's why you have to have that entrepreneurial business
Spirit.
acumen or that spirit behind that to reach the public if you're going to make changes.
If I don't mind, let me jump in because one of
Go
the
ahead.
things that I read, one of the big characteristics of an entrepreneurial spirited person is risk takers. And what you just described is huge risk taking, right? In our day, and certainly now, even probably less now, but even more in our day, if you decided to be a chiropractor, you were a huge risk taker, right?
Out
Because
of the ordinary, that's for sure.
we weren't even on the bus, let alone the back of the bus
Right.
back then, right? So,
Well, it used to take,
so
you would
yeah,
say it
so you
took
know,
courage to be a chiropractor, right?
yeah. I mean, financially,
Yep.
who knew if you were going to make a penny? I had, at least somebody to look at that I knew I was going to make some pennies. But professionally, personally, yeah, yeah, you were the redheaded stepchild, so to speak. So, although
Well,
I think
yeah,
redheads are cute, but
yeah. So you really had to embrace that you were going to run a business and same thing like we've talked about multiple times that how were you going to inject we'll use chiropractic philosophy, the principle to run your business as well. And I still think that's probably why the three of us are unique in that you looked at it as uh, whether it was your accounting, uh, your marketing, your management of staff, you were trying to do it from a uh, innate philosophical side, meaning, prevention, build back better, build things up, all those aspects of it, not just profit based, care based, and that included taking care of your business, taking care of your staff, taking care of your marketing, all those things were tied to uh, being an entrepreneur, but also, well, how does that balance with being a chiropractor, right? And so, as we've talked about before, leading with care, not leading with finances, which a lot of popular things in the entrepreneurial world now is they lead with finances, right? It's about 10x this or, those aspects of things, but it really needs to be tied to care, right? And
well, Yeah.
philosophy, those aspects of it. So I think those were probably things that the three of us try to do a good job in incorporating. And then the other point, when you're talking about getting out there, Brad, that we're still in a place where people don't know what chiropractors do. And I think I said it last time, the guy I approached in the building next to me is on the board with the condo association. He's got 40 employees, and he told me his back went out. He almost called me, but he sucked it up for 3 days and took Motrin, right? So I gave him the little, the elevator talk or the 30-second drill. And he was like, well, that makes sense. All those, I should have done that. Not that it got him to call, but then the next time I saw him last week and I said, we need to do a lunch and learn in your office with your 40 employees. And he was like, yeah, I don't even know what chiropractors do. And and in your head, you're like, wow, even with the ring of dingers or whoever's on Instagram or all this stuff that, they don't even know that, that sort of thing and there's just a huge portion of people that don't even know. And that I think the three of us felt an obligation for 42 years of trying to tell as many people as we could, what we do. And some of that was just by being who we are.
Yeah.
But
Well,
again, back to building a business, I agree. Risk takers, you invested in yourself, you took a chance. But the old adage, we moved move your feet when you pray. So that to me was we were constantly taking action to spread the word and build our practice. Both those things apply.
it's interesting because, in reading and preparing for this last night, you just ran through a bunch of the characteristics. I mean, it all starts with vision, right? Don't we say that every time we do a call? It starts with our
Right.
vision. The vision is what really drives all those other things. You recognized an opportunity with that guy to tell him what your vision was, right?
Right.
And then, one of the biggest things when you think about an entrepreneur is they're innovative, right? They create new things. And I thought about that and I said, I don't think any of us created anything new, right? But we took what was given to us and we made it new by making it our own, right? You recognize the opportunity and you said, let's do what'd you do in his office?
Lunch and learn.
Yeah, lunch and learn, dinner talk or whatever it was. Well,
Right.
I certainly did take those things and spin them so that they fit me.
Right.
And the biggest
Like a
thing
script.
when I was
Right.
thinking about this innovatively for me was the way that I communicated, both with my team, leadership wise, and with patients. You know, my
Yes.
communication skills weren't, although they were scripted, I made them fit who I was, right? I used my language, I used my feelings and emotions. And I think for me, that was the biggest innovation that I could do. Did I create anything new? Maybe. I don't recall,
I
you
agree.
know.
Yeah. You just made it your own.
But it's seeing a need and filling that need. And all of us saw the need,
Right.
Right.
right?
Yeah, back when you think the time that we went to school, chiropractic was really in its ascendancy. It was in the early 80s. You were there a little bit before us, Terrence. Um, and that people were looking for alternatives. And it was an opportunity for us to basically get it, what I'd say is the ground floor. We were at the end of the Wilkes trial. People were searching for options other than drugs and surgery, and then just chiropractic fell into that. And unfortunately, within our profession, we had I don't want to say a split, but we had different opinions on how to practice and what the purpose of chiropractic. And it for the three of us, it was much more than headaches, back pain, and neck pain. It was about changing people's lives, and that everybody should be under chiropractic care so that their bodies can function as best they can. And then you start talking about the chiropractic lifestyle of eating correctly, exercising regularly, managing stress and those things. That's what creates that healthy lifestyle. And that's where I see our niche in the healthcare system falls. But that's just so anti what most people hear and get, especially through the media these days.
It, it's anti in our own profession for the most part,
Exactly.
which is unfortunate. And and I think that to be an entrepreneur in our profession right now and being innovative and being a risk taker is to just get back to our principle, right? We don't need to have any new ideas. We need to actually anchor ourselves in our principle, what the old ideas were. That's what's driven this profession to be relevant today. It's not copying the allopathic model and wanting to be I don't want to say this. And I said this the last time. I love research. We've got a shit ton of research.
Hmm.
The research isn't what held this profession together. It's not what saved us. It was
Right.
our vision and our
Right.
belief. And it was our resilience, right? Because that's another characteristic, right? Is resilience. We've been kicked in the teeth how many times, and we're still here. And we're still saving lives, regardless.
Yeah. I
Regardless.
think,
You hear about, the poor gentleman that was adjusted and had a stroke, and the following day had a stroke. And the neurologist and the radiologist missed it on the diagnosis, right? And the poor guy, is paralyzed or whatever. And all the media wants to concentrate on is that it was adjusted the day before.
right.
But the lawsuit never was filed against the chiropractor. It was filed against the ER doc, the neurologist, the hospital. But if you look at it in the paper, it says $75 million award after a bad chiropractic adjustment. The award wasn't even, the chiropractor wasn't even in the lawsuit,
Right.
right? So you want to talk about resilience. That happens how often in our profession? Almost never.
Right.
How many people in the medical model does that happen to every day,
Oh yeah.
right?
Right.
I
You want to
remember
talk
when that
about
when the stroke issue first came out. I remember who was it? Was it Jimmy Gregg would say, if you want to compare body counts, let's do it.
yeah, well, they won't.
They won't.
But
They
my
won't.
point is, we have one of those in how many millions of adjustments, probably billions of adjustments.
Right.
And we get this kind of thing, and then we stand tall and we beat this stuff based upon our principle, right? Based upon what we do. That's resilience.
Right.
We're nothing but resilient. So if we want to survive, that resilience is based on principle. We've got to bolster that. Again, I'm not poo-pooing research. I love it.
Well, I think you're saying part of what you're saying, Mike, is we need to be more contrarian again now because the trend is, like I said, functional medicine, the neurology, the gadgets, laser and decompression and whatever, shockwave, whatever it
I'm
might
okay
be.
with all of it.
And I think all of it's just fine. However, the emphasis should be on the adjustment, the adjustment, right? That,
Yeah.
and that should be and teaching that you can have an adjustment based practice with good philosophical knowledge and be very successful. The other thing on the entrepreneur side, remember, and Brad, you talked about the 80s. So the three of us were on that cusp from uh, my dad's time where Parker started, the first person to try to teach us how to run a health business,
Yeah.
right? And Parker, and then everybody came out of that.
He
Mark's
came out of Parker. Yeah.
everything came out of that. But those are really trying to teach you how to run a business, a health business, right? And I mean, that's probably what, start to be better at your bookkeeping, be better at your marketing, have a plan. Like, so my dad was a Parker guy and a brown bagger, have we, as a family, we used to do the mailings of the newsletters, we
Yeah.
bundle them together. He had his health column, right? Parker was, it's, why, uh, that you had a beautiful office. That's when my dad built a stand, all through the Midwest, you can see these standalone offices, buildings, right? That are, my friend Pete used to say monuments to chiropractic, but it was to show that a level of success in a alternative health business as a chiropractor. And, even back to I shared it with my grandfather who was adamant, um, he was going to send my dad to med school first, then chiropractic school, so nobody could argue with about calling him doctor, right? That was
Yeah, right.
a big deal. And my aunt told me that, and I saw it, my grandfather's hours were structured so he could take the kids to school in the morning and pick them up. And my aunt always said we were my my dad and her were the only two kids and the surgeon's kid who always had new clothes, right? It was important that uh, my grandfather, then my dad showed, no, 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 this is an honorable, profitable, and we know how to walk the talk, so to speak, and demonstrate it as an entrepreneur, right? That was part of it, that they looked and demonstrated, for him, that was walking the talk. And with that, then was the lifestyle. Like we always knew we were different because we ate different. We didn't get shots. We
Hmm.
didn't do these things. And it was always like, what's different about those McAuliffe kids or whatever it might be. Um, but we were that bridge too, where it came from Parker, and then business became, they're teaching us business, right? The people we all worked with. And it's just kind of blurred over, though, the other side. We've swung. That's why I say contrarian. Now it's all business. It's all money. They lead with money versus care. We were taught to lead with the care
Yeah.
and run a good business, a principled business. That's what I think we should get back to.
Yeah, me too.
I remember listening to Dr. Sid up on stage at DE talking about don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing. You have to be there to provide the service, the great chiropractic adjustment, have faith in it,
Hmm.
believe in it, educate people on the benefits of it, but also take care of the business side of it. Because if you don't, you won't be in business long enough to be able to affect that many people. So it's a
Do,
balance between the two.
Correct.
do you think that in our cases, three of us, that was a bit easier because all three of us, our wives were in practice? They're very principled. And in my case, I know Terrence's case, and yours too, Brad, they did a lot of the billing and collecting end.
Mhm.
And you talk about the left hand not knowing what the right hand's doing. I never knew really what was happening in the financial end unless somebody's balance got over, a certain amount, and then I had to speak to them, or at the very beginning when I was presenting the fees. But um,
Well,
it
I think
became
what our wives
the
did
fees
for us, it
increased.
freed us up to be able to focus on that.
Yeah,
Ins-
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Instead of worrying about getting the insurance out and making sure
yeah,
checks are posted and
yep,
whatever, we could focus on providing the service for the patient. I think that's the advantage of having
yep,
your significant other in the practice because that they have a
yeah,
vested interest in your success versus an employee.
Absolutely.
yeah, and that worked so well for us. But I've also seen it work when a spouse wasn't in the office. But you have to be able to delegate that kind of responsibility to somebody, and at the same time, not abdicate it, right?
Right.
Right.
You gotta look over their shoulder. They got to think you're looking over their shoulder. Not that you don't trust them. You're still being, protective of.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I abdicated it at times, and then it comes back to bite you.
yeah,
In fact, right, Rebecca probably didn't get involved until I'd abdicated it too much, and
yeah,
then she had to come in and clean it up, and then stay on
yeah.
top of it. So, but because I was determined, right, to put
Hmm.
that over there, so I could just focus on what I was doing, the healing, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, um, the other aspect of that is so many people, um, some of the old timers, right, abdicated so much of it, then they ended up with nothing.
Oh, I've seen it in
Yeah,
in guys our age.
yeah.
Yep.
I've
I've
seen
seen
So,
it
people
too
lose,
many times
yeah, $250,000, right? Or or $100,000, $250,000. I've seen it happen.
from
sure.
family
And
members.
you want to talk about resilience, come back from that, right? And
Right.
still put money away and still be able to retire, right? That's part of the spirit, right?
Yep.
Getting just getting dirty and getting back up and dusting yourself off and saying, all right, I effed up. Let's fix this.
Yep. Get back to
Raise our
work.
fees a little bit. Let's see some more people, right?
Yep.
Let's take care of some more people.
Take care of
Instead
someone.
of, you look at the trade journals out there, and what are the majority of the advertisements? Use this new therapy
Oh yeah,
or weight loss or anything but chiropractic.
I
Right.
know.
And that's the sad thing, and the scary thing is that people are losing their faith in the adjustment itself. It's just, and what's being taught in some of the schools, in many of the schools, is just that's just one of the adjustments, just one tool in your
Tools, yeah.
toolbox, instead of being the master tool, and everything else is there to support it.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
And that's where the philosophy is important, and the principles is understanding what we do. We're not treating
Right.
backaches and headaches and weight loss, um, or healing ruptured disc. What we're doing is removing the interference to the body's ability to heal itself.
Yeah.
And we use the therapies in our office as getting people comfort till their bodies do have that time to heal themselves.
And you're very, very good at educating the patient that those therapies are not what's getting them well.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
because if you
that's
don't
the
do
key.
that, yeah, you're giving up ground if you don't do that. Isn't it wild that what made us true entrepreneurs 40 years ago, in my eyes, is what would make guys and gals who getting out of school now pure entrepreneurs.
So,
Is
explain it.
doing it the old way, right? The old way
Yeah.
still works.
Oh
I
yeah.
hate to call it the old way, but yeah, I think
Yep.
these guys that are following marketers or coaches that are just teaching a business model, that's not entrepreneurship.
Right.
It's not. How about if you get some vision, you base everything in the principle, you live that lifestyle.
Yeah. A vision of service. Right. That's what
And
you
I
said.
and that's I think the key for success, because if you're working for money, if all you're trying to do is to build the money side of your practice, there's
Mhm.
never enough. You're never happy. You're never
Right,
satisfied with it.
right.
If you are there serving as many people as
Interesting
you
comment.
can,
Yeah.
and educating them on staying under lifetime chiropractic care, that's a true calling. That's
Mhm.
that's what you get up in the morning, and you can't wait to get to the office on Monday morning. Thank God it's Monday,
Yeah.
because I get to
Right.
go in there and change people's lives. I think that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
The money vision won't sustain you because
No,
there will never be enough.
no.
There's
When
never
you're always
enough.
trying to hang on to it,
Yep.
Yeah.
you're trying to get more of it. That's just a nothing but frustration.
Mhm.
Well, they brought up at our meeting
And
last night, they were talking about the joint, right? And so, it's a good thing of like the joint would be health entrepreneurs, right? And yet they talked about just in Maryland here where, some are working and some have like the one in Laurel went out of business and the one down the street in College Park went out of business. And I just said, you're welcome. Um, because I'm like, if there's somebody doing a good job in the area that, just getting a quick crack that's inexpensive isn't going to do it. So just that's not somebody being a
entrepreneur.
visionary entrepreneur, right? You can be an entrepreneur, Mike, and you could probably have I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to invest my own money. I'm going to fill those things in. But if you don't have a vision with that, I think and that's why franchising doesn't work right in a sense like that is difficult because then you'll see that one hell joint probably do great because they got some good docs in there and they somehow
Yeah.
keep them. They keep reloading with people who have somebody's giving them some sort of vision. But if it's just a building, right, and storefront, and they do their marketing, and there's no vision, where there is no vision, people perish, right? That's the Bible, but that's
I,
the truth.
I, I think the joints that do well are just like what you said. You have a doc in there with a little bit of vision, right? Understands
Right,
the principle. And I can tell you they don't stay long. They stay on longer than they should because they get paid so well,
right.
right? And these guys that the joint, if a chiropractor isn't allowed to stay in one location more than his contract, and then he has to move to another location.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't want them building a clientele so that when their contract's up, they can open 3 miles away or whatever it is. They keep these guys moving for that reason. And I guess that works to some degree, but I guess it hurts in other degrees because, how do you keep physically sound by moving people all the time, you
Right.
know? And they film every tableside interaction with a patient.
Huh.
So, yeah, so that if they don't follow the scripting or they don't do what they're supposed to do, there's some recourse, you
Huh.
know? I had a great experience with a joint in Sarasota because I just needed to get adjusted. And they have this great program. They sell you on multiple visits. It's cash. Um, and when I was doing the intake with the doc and he found out who I was and he knew soundly that I knew my principle and knew what I was doing, yet he still kind of had to look at me and point to the camera and go, I still have to go through the scripting.
Right.
I'm like, okay, dude. He was a good adjuster, got a great
Yeah.
adjuster, went back.
Right.
So that dude was probably an entrepreneur, right? He
Right.
moved, I know he moved to that area because it's where his wife grew up and he needed somewhere to land and make some money. But
Right.
I can almost guarantee you that because of his spirit, when I saw in him, he's in his own practice now. So
Well,
You
just
don't make
so
money
yeah.
working for somebody else.
uh
You don't make real money working for somebody else. You have to
some
be out
people
on
think
your
you
own.
do, right?
Pardon me?
Some people think you do. Some people get their 130 grand a year or 140 grand a year, and if their health insurance is paid, boy, they're, you know, they might stay there
Well,
forever.
yeah, it depends, Brad. If somebody like I think we've shared before on associates, if somebody failed in practice, right, they can be a great associate because they just don't quite have that spirit,
Spirit, right?
vision to
Right.
go out
Yeah.
and do it on their own. And that's okay. I mean, there should be a place for everyone, and there should be more of that in our profession.
We need associates.
Correct. There should be more of it because not everybody's built to run their own
Yeah.
practice. There's a lot of people who are built to be associates. That's okay. And that should be back in our previous associate talk. It's like it's
Mhm.
okay to be an associate for your whole career,
Mhm.
and the owner docs have to figure out how to make that fair trade. Probably at some point it becomes maybe more bonus based than flat salary, but that would be
Or
the practice. And you would, again, the associate would have to be vested in continuing to help the practice to grow. But it would change after 5, 10, however many years, but that would
maybe there's a little bit of a buy-in fee for a percentage of the practice. There's many ways to look at that.
all sorts of ways to look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
So,
But
just so
it
that
has to
they're
be balanced because
Yeah.
back in the day when we first graduated, you heard the horror stories. And I still imagine they're still out there about how associates are being abused.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know,
I mean, I hear that all the time, but then the other end of it is they come, as we've talked about, they come in and want the world, but they have nothing to
Mhm.
offer.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it. And just because they have debt doesn't make it your emergency.
No.
Um, that's the challenge with it. And
Yeah.
same with you know, all of it that the schools have driven that debt, blah, blah, we've had that discussion before that, all those aspects of it. So that's something maybe we won't fix, but the
Yeah.
profession needs to be be working on that. It's okay to be an associate, forever, maybe.
I can tell you that I abused my associates for probably the first 6 months. And I say that, and then in hindsight, I look at what I asked them to do, and the abuse that I took as opening a practice for the first couple of years, that abuse didn't even measure up,
Oh, right.
right? It
Right.
was way more than and again, that's an entrepreneurial spirit. That's that resilience, right? You take that kick in the teeth to grow, right? To get stronger, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
thinking about this because one of the characteristics that they listed as being entrepreneurial was, well, let me just say this. I always joke with the patients that, number one cause of death in this country is failure to adapt, right?
Right.
Failure for your body to adapt to the environment because it's subluxated, Um, and one of the large characteristics of an entrepreneur is adaptability. So
Correct.
if you think about it, if you can't adapt in your business, that's sure death, right?
Right.
So
Right.
failure to adapt in an entrepreneurial spirit is death. So
True.
So that
I
that's a great statement. And is that why we see the influx of so many alternatives to what chiropractic really is, to the weight loss, to the laser
mhm.
treatments, to the decompression, the functional medicine? Is that the profession trying to adapt in a healthy way or an unhealthy way?
Hmm.
Well,
I
I think
think
it's unhealthy if they don't continue to keep the adjustment as the primary tool. But down that pathway is still it's perilous, right? That at the meeting last night, a guy brought up a chiropractor who has an office in Mexico, and he sets up protocols where they're it's like 5 weeks, and they're adjusted a lot, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day in the first few weeks, all these different things. And he and he does do stem cell injections right into joints. However, the apparently says, well, no, you have to get your subluxations corrected first, or that joint's just going to rot. But then we'll do the stem cell. I I don't know if I'm good with that, right? I mean, I'm on one side, you'd say, oh, he's strong on the premise, but
Mhm.
but then I'm going to stick a needle in you. I mean, if you really believed in it, would you not say, well, and then that we're going to give the body the opportunity to regenerate that joint on its own, or
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
slippery slope. Um, and
That's a
but
top of the fence.
and he said, well, it's going to help the patient. And I said, well, my son would say, well, if you change the oil in his car, it's going to help the patient. Are you going to do that too? And I looked at the doc's website, the clinic in Mexico, like the first thing it, so they do some dark field microscopy, different scans and adjust. But the one thing in there in the first visit included in the package was a teeth cleaning.
Oh, wow.
So, and again, not that it's a, but you don't understand. I'm like, where does it end, right?
Was there a colonic in there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but you understand. I mean, I like you said, shockwave, laser.
Mm.
It's all good. I got no, I got cold plunge, hot sauna, right? Whatever you want, but um,
So my
it's
thought is
just
if
funny.
yeah, if you're looking for all that magic bullet stuff, uh for me that's failure to adapt to the problem that you don't have enough patients coming in your office. They're not trying to adapt because people aren't getting well. They're trying to adapt because they don't have enough new patients or enough patient visits to make enough money to survive.
Yeah,
So
the
they're
retention
doing
rate
all
is
this
too
other
low.
stuff,
Yep.
and that's a failure to adapt to the reason they're not successful. They're not teaching the principle, they're not getting new patients, they're not adjusting enough, they're not getting
Yep.
results. So therefore they're um, hey, maybe they are making enough money, but they're overspending, right? So that's a whole other thing, right?
Right.
Not living within your means or below your means.
Correct.
So to me, that's a failure to adapt. And the adaptability would be, hey, let's adapt by getting entrenched in the principle and learning how to teach people that and adjusting them and giving them great schedules and following up and doing the adapting the right way, right? Of course,
And
that's who
and
we are.
and for the people who are watching for the first time, go back to the beginning of our videos and watch start there so you can build to where
Yeah.
we're to that. If you're challenged with that or you think that the next shiny object's going to save your practice, get back to the basics,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Have a great exam and
Yeah.
consultation, have a
Yeah.
great report of findings, give a
Yeah.
good care plan that's, not based on pain, but on uh, other criteria like a lateral cervical, like a scan, like a
Mhm.
whatever you're comfortable with. But and then
Yeah.
charge a fair fee,
Huh?
come up with a way to do it for 36 visits at least. I'll just use some sort of number and then recheck all those criteria. And if they are not 100% better, it's okay. It's going to teach you that it takes time
Hmm.
and get better at all the things, Mike, you just said, communication and understanding the principle, understanding healing takes time.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd have to say that don't be an island either. I mean, get some support for that, right? I'd love for you to be and listen to this call every other week, right? That's support. Is that enough support?
No,
You need to find you need to find a community, right? Somebody you can call every day, somebody you can talk to, somebody that's in your ear, whether it's a coach or mentor, whatever you want to call it. I mean, and I don't care where you go, but go find somebody that's principled for it, right?
yeah,
Go find that group of principal
get,
chiropractors.
get that group of guys and
Yeah.
gals and start with our first video, watch that, and then talk about it
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
what you're going to do, right, as an individual. And if you don't know, reach out on Facebook, whatever, contact us, and
Yeah.
we'll lead a meeting for you.
Yeah. I think in the very beginning and some of the videos, we weren't adamant, but I think we made it clear that we're not coaches or mentors and you know, maybe they get the sense that it's not okay to like contact us in Messenger on Facebook or whatever. But it's okay to do that.
It's
Right.
okay.
You know,
We
we'll
would
point you in the right direction.
be an
Probably
honor.
not. Yeah, we're probably not going to arrange any coaching because that's not what we do, but we can point you in the right direction.
Happy to help, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Happy to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And tell somebody to watch this call. Watch
Right.
this,
Right. Share
just
this.
one person. Yeah. Yep. Sometimes they're a little long, but that doesn't mean I have to sit and watch it. You can put it on while you're doing paperwork, right?
Right.
And listen to us. I mean, that's what I did most of my young life. I would put it on, and whether it was Paradigm Partners or whatever it was, right? SIGS tapes or SIGS tapes back when it was tapes.
I'd
Love
be
them.
driving around everywhere I went. My kids knew the On
Yeah.
Purpose tapes.
Yep.
They listened to them too.
It's funny. We talked about that yesterday, just yesterday, not to get off subject, but we were in the car and Hannah was playing some of her music and the kids were in the back. And Lisa said, "Why don't you put something on that they want to listen to?" And Hannah said, "What, like a chiropractic tape?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, she's right. She's right. She had to listen to that stuff going to school and coming back." So,
Absolutely.
You should have said no. We're going to stop the tape and we're going to do our affirmations now,
There you go.
right, right. So,
which is what I would have done. Oh, okay. Let's do some
yeah,
affirmations.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah, guys.
have before we close out here, let's just maybe it's a good idea to tell the guys and gals maybe what we're going to talk about next time to get them piqued the interest a little bit. So I think we decided next time we're going to talk about destructive forces, what that truly means.
Yeah.
Okay.
With regards to the adjustment and
Yep.
practice. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right,
All right,
guys.
guys.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, man. I love you both.
Till August. Have a good
Have
summer.
fun today, Mike.
I will. It's a
All right.
down day today. All right.
Cannonball.
See. Yeah.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.